Sister Rimka. I am going to desperately try and increase my non-exercise activity, aka walking. I must say, walking is the most underrated weight loss tool at our disposal. I underrate it. I have underrated it personally. I have underrated it clinically because I hate it. Some of us actually hate walking. Like, I find this painful. It hurts. Like, if I broke into a run, oh my God, that feels so much better, right? So I was born, all of us have different configurations, right? I was born like all crippled up, Forrest Gump legs and severely inverted in my hips and all this crazy shit. I had to wear cables like Forrest Gump for real. It was like a thing. Bars between my leg in ICU where I was. Anyway, probably a reason I've always been afraid I was going to be paralyzed one day. And that came to fruition, actually. And yet, here I walk. Okay, but walking. So, you may be burdened with videos when I walk. My office manager was like, you're going to have to start walking more. She's also my trainer. And she's like, that's just the problem. She says, you do your videos when you walk. Start a whole new thing. Walk and talk. Okay. So as I walk and talk, hi, everybody. It's Friday night. I'm walking my dog. I had some thoughts on obesity. And just some thoughts. And, put something in the comment. Tell me what you think about this. Because there's definitely some conflicting messages going on. And I know it's really hard. And I have conflicting messages inside myself. And as much as I don't believe, right, that I don't want the Western medicine story of obesity is a genetic chronic condition and we just need to put you on drugs the rest of your life. It's not your fault. Well, that's not true. But just as much as not true, and I see it a lot in certain posts that seem pretty harsh to me from some doctors and personal trainers and kind of dietary guru influencers that, there's no excuse. It isn't that complicated. Calories in, calories out. Just eat better and lift weights. Okay, well, yeah, I wish it was that simple, right? So people got obese usually for a lot of complicated reasons. And it wasn't because only usually they ate like crap and never moved. Now, we're not even going to talk about trauma. I'm not even going to talk about how many women throw 100 pounds on them after they've been raped. I'm not going to talk about it. No, I'm not going to bring up any of that stuff right now. Let's go to just talking about the 35 and under crowd. That group of people, that younger group, I'm 50, and although my generation was poisoned, I was poisoned since birth, basically, right? High fructose corn syrup was released into the market the year I was born, 1973. I was vaccinated. Over every, all the scheduled stuff until we lied about it. I lied about the boosters. I didn't get any of them. Ha ha! That's the benefit of being poor. Yeah, because I didn't have pediatrician. We just had a welfare clinic that we had to go to. And they just couldn't keep track of it. So they go, did you get it? Oh, yeah, I got that last time. They go, oh, okay, great. We'll just check it off. So I never got them boosters. I don't have that scar on my arm. Ha ha ha. So anyway, but we've all been poisoned. Like the air and the glyphosate and the mercury and the aluminum. It's insane, okay? But this generation, 35 and under, many of them have never had real food. Their parents, in utero, the mother wasn't ever eating real food. She was surviving on ramen noodles, mac and cheese, pizza, Burger King, Chick-fil-A, Starbucks, donuts, bread, peanut butter and jelly. Most of these people never had meat, eggs, fish, okay? They've been systematically poisoned. These babies, dark now, in utero. And then in those first 2 years of critical life, they never ate real food. They were eating like fake biscuits and cheese puff things and goldfish and gummy worms. Parents started giving them vitamins that are basically like candy. So the whole foundation of their health infrastructure, the architecture, the matrix upon which a person has been made was based on junk. So their blood pressure was kind of set high for life. Their visceral fat was loaded up. They accumulated more fat cells. You will determine how many fat cells your baby has in utero. So if you were an obese woman who was eating, junk, it made yourself and your baby even more obese. You made them obese like in utero, like a propensity towards it with more fat cells. So they're there for life. And then if these children are over fat and obese as children before puberty, they're going to have more fat cells with a tendency to get bigger, easier than somebody like me who never had that. So now you have people who are 25, 30, 35 years old with an epigenetic blueprint of very poor health, a tendency, packed with visceral fat, never had enough nutrition, have, brains that are low in cholesterol, low in B vitamins, low in zinc. Prefrontal cortexes are not developing well. They don't have enough dopamine. They're always feeling subclinically depressed and anxious. And they were raised in a house where nobody knows how to eat. Nobody knows how to cook. Nobody knows how to put a skillet on a stove, turn on a fire, heat it up, and make a patty with their hands and make a burger. That's how bad it is. These kids grew up eating microwave things. Okay? That's not normal. So while I agree, I want people to take responsibility. I teach it constantly. Is it fair to assume of these 50 and 55 and 60-year-olds, especially men? It's a lot of dudes, I'm not going to lie. That just want to say it's all their fault and they just are kind of stupid and lazy for not getting it together. And they shouldn't need any supplements. They shouldn't need peptides. They certainly shouldn't need something like semaglutide or tirzepatide, pharma drugs, which to me aren't even drugs or peptides. Okay, there it is. So it's a complicated issue, right? I don't want people thinking, okay, I don't have to make any changes. Doesn't matter if I eat protein. Doesn't matter if I lift weights. I'll just inject myself with something for the rest of my life and that's it. Of course, I don't want that either. But if just eating well and moving worked for everybody, most people would be thin the first time they tried. Okay? Because people try. And you're like, wow, she seems to be doing everything right. She still can't move that weight. I know women who've been carnivore for 2-3 years, low carb, insulin's good, blood sugar's good. They're not losing any weight. 50, 60 pounds still sitting there and they're demoralized, they're frustrated, they're depressed. And there's more to look at in terms of just that. So it's an interesting thing. And when you look at a 70-year-old versus a 25-year-old, I do think the way we were raised, the fundamental development in utero and those first 3, critical years are radically different. And children today and young adults, if their parents didn't know what to do, they're at a deep disadvantage. So what if their, metabolic system is really so deranged and broken, like their capacity to know how to burn fat to them is very sluggish, is faulty. And, we're at a point where we're working against so many really dangerous toxins. We're working against bioweapons that pass off as infectious disease. Very unnatural circumstances, let me just say that. So natural things often aren't strong enough. I'm going to start posting a few well thought out, intelligent posts from some obesity experts, some physicians who've been using some of these peptides, which you would call medications, for years. And I'm not saying I'm pro or against them. I just think people need to get a full context and a picture to understand, let's bring some compassion back to the story. I get the backlash on the obscene attempt to make a 400-pound obese, morbidly obese person who is clearly ill, like we're supposed to act like that's not reality. I understand the frustration, but I don't like the lack of compassion and kindness and gentleness towards people who are suffering and need help, and attacking them and calling them names or calling them stupid or lazy if they make some decisions that maybe you wouldn't make. I don't know. I don't like it, Just like, hey, I would never get chemo, but I'm not going to shame somebody if they do. That's their choice. I'm going to encourage them, and I hope they're going to get better. I want to support whatever they do. I'm not a fan of gastric bypass, but if that's what somebody really gets to that point, they're so desperate in life, that's what they think they have to do. Eventually, I'll support my friend and hold her hand and pray for her and not tell her she's a stupid, dumbass, lazy bitch for doing it. And there's a lot of that going on in the space, and it breaks my heart. I don't have all the answers, and I'd love to, tell me what you think, tell me thoughts about it, but I've seen some amazing people work very hard doing all the right things with many experts, and the weight does not come off. And I've talked with some therapists. I have one theory that it seems like people who've gone through a severe physical trauma before the age of 12, seems to be about the age, usually sexual, but sometimes it can be physical, like shaken baby syndrome. I've had a client, she had 112 bones broken when she was an infant by her father, okay? From being shook so hard in the hospital for a very long time. I can't even imagine the level of trauma that woman had it holds in her nervous system, right? It seems like these people almost defy physiology because they'll be 200 pounds overweight. They'll do all kinds of calorie restriction, all kinds of low carb. They don't have high, their insulin is fine. They're not diabetic. Their livers are fine. They don't have high blood pressure. They have the weirdest physiological markers of healthy, and they don't lose weight. Almost by doing nothing, no matter what you do. So it's almost like something's in the etheric field that's encoded that they must stay at that weight to stay safe. And now I'm wondering in terms of as well what happens when people are born in utero and then born and fed pure garbage. And is the matrix of their system unable to even burn fat normally? And is this why something like semaglutide, tirzepatide is needed for them? I don't know. It's curious. I want to stay curious. I want to ask questions. I don't want to shut down and not be able to find answers for people who are desperate. So tell me what you think, and we'll catch up more tomorrow. It's too dark. Have a lovely night, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments about it.